The employee looked down at my mother, not knowing she's the CEO of the company. I, 23 years old, grew up with a single mother who raised me and worked her way up. My mother left my abusive father when I was 3 years old and worked multiple jobs to provide for me. Growing up, there were times when I wouldn't see my mother until midnight when she picked me up from her best friend's house. She used to tell me that she would always apologize for the inconvenience of asking if her best friend could babysit me, but it was her only option. It's fair to say that she came from a very humble background. When I was 7 years old, she started her consulting firm that helped businesses with their marketing. She grew it from the ground up and expanded it throughout my middle school years. I'm very proud of my mother, but her success meant that I saw her less. Sometimes, I never got to see her come home because she slept in her office. One night, she came to my room after work thinking I was asleep. She cried and apologized, expressing her wish to have given me the childhood and family I deserved. She explained that working and expanding her businesses were the only way she could secure the best future for me, and that's what she did. By the time I was 18 years old, she had expanded into retail stores and opened many restaurants. She maintained a low profile and didn't let money change her. For the past 2 years, she has had the freedom to spend more time with me, and we would eat out every week together. Recently, I told her that I was craving steak, to which she replied that her steakhouse was very good and we could just go there. She called her assistant and asked if she could make a reservation for us, and her assistant agreed. When we arrived, 3 couples were waiting in line. I asked my mother if there was any way we could skip the line since she owned the place, but my mother said that we would wait because these people came before us. She told me that even if she owned the place, we were all still equal. She smiled at me and said that it also meant that we could bond more together and talk. After 15 minutes of waiting, the 3 couples were already gone and we were next in line. None of the staff bothered to talk to us and continued walking past us. Both my mother and I didn't care as we enjoyed talking together, but after some time, we started to notice a pattern. Every time a new customer came, an employee would end up paying attention to them and they would get seated before us. It became clear that the employees were ignoring us and didn't want to serve us. My mother got up and asked when we would be seated, and the waitress looked at her and told her to sit back down with an attitude. She asked my mom to please be patient because they were busy. My mom apologized, sat back down, and told me that her employees were just stressed and probably overwhelmed. But after another 10 minutes, a new customer came by, and I asked him if he had made any reservations. He told me no, and the employee told him to wait with us. About 5 minutes later, that same customer ended up getting seated first. My mom was already heated and ended up telling the same waitress to call her manager. The waitress tried to cut my mom off and started telling her about patience.